Hello everyone. In a previous video we have seen the adaptation for the anemophilous type of plants where the pollinating agent is wind. In today's video let's study about hydrophily where water is a pollinating agent which helps in pollination. There are two types of hydrophily. One is called as hypohydrophily, the other one is called as epihydrophily. Hypohydrophily is a condition where the pollination takes place inside the water surface. In case of epihydrophily, the pollination takes place at the water surface. Hypohydrophily, in case of hypohydrophily, there are two examples which we have to study. One is the Zostera, the other one is Hydrophily. The Zostera is having the longest pollen, which is needle-like, which is about 2500 micrometer long. We know that Zostera is a longest pollen which is needle-like structure, and these pollen does not contain exine. We know that the pollen grains are covered with exine, and in time the exine is made up of sporopollenin which is absent in case of Zostera. And the another important thing is that the pollen grains which are produced will have the specific gravity which is equal to that of the water. The meaning of this sentence is that the pollen grains, if they are heavy, they will be settled. If they are lightweight when compared to that of the water, they float. Whereas in this condition, the pollen grains which are released will have the specific gravity which is equal to that of the water, so that they will be carried by the water current. Let's study in detail by taking the example of Zostera and Hydrophily. Let's first study about Zostera. We know that these are submerged plants with roots, and the leaves are narrow in order to prevent the resistance from the moving water current. And these plants will produce the cluster of male flowers and the female flowers. The male flowers will release the pollen grains. These pollen grains are needle-like. These pollen grains which are needle-like will have the specific gravity which is equal to that of the water. If they are lighter than water, they will be at the surface of the water. If they are very dense when compared to the water, they will be settled. But instead, these plants will have the pollen grains which is having the specific gravity which is equal to that of the water. If this is the direction of the water current, then these pollen grains will be carried to the female flowers and it will be attached to the stigma of the female flower, and which help in the pollination and which helps in fertilization of the female flower. In the case of Hydrophily, similarly, the plants are submerged. These are the rooted plants which will have the narrow leaves as similar to the in case of Zostera in order to resist the water current. This will also produce the cluster of male flower and the female flower separately. Now, these male flowers will have anthers. The anthers will be released. These anthers move to the surface of the water. At the surface of the water, the anther undergo dehiscence. So, when there is a dehiscence of the anther, the pollen grains will be released. These pollen grains germinate at the surface. So, we have the germinated pollen grains. Now, these germinated pollen grains are denser. They move below, and once they come in contact with the female flower, they undergo fertilization. The second condition of hydrophily is epihydrophily, where the pollination takes place at the surface. And the example is Vallisneria. The Vallisneria is also having the submerged plant where the male plant is separate and the female plant is separate, and it is not similar to in case of the Zostera where the male and the female flowers are present on the same plant. In case of Vallisneria, the plants are submerged, it is rooted, and it produces the narrow leaves in order to resist from the moving water current. So this is the male plant and this is the female plant. And this is a cluster of male flower, and this is called as the spadix of the male flower. Once the flower is matured, it is being released to the surface. Now it moves to the surface. Once it moves to the surface, it opens up to produce tepals. So we have 3 tepals, 2 at the inside the water surface, 1 above the water surface. Now these are called as tepals. Once the male flower is completely matured, it is released by the plant and it moves to the surface where it opens up to produce the tepals. It produces 3 tepals. Now these tepals will have stamens here. The stamens will have filament and the anther. The anther undergoes dehiscence and release the pollen grains. Now pollen grains are on the surface of the water. Now let's see the condition of the female flower. Now once the female flower is ready for pollination, that is if it is completely mature, here we can see the flower which is coiled and we can see the female flower here. Once if it is completely matured, this coiling nature disappears, it becomes straight and the female flower is here. This is the appearance of the same flower where here it is in coiled nature. Once it becomes completely mature, the stalk becomes straight and this is the exposed flower which is having the stigma. Now the pollen grains will attach to the stigma. Now the pollination takes place and which helps in fertilization. This is the condition of epihydrophily. In today's video, we have studied about the 2 conditions of hydrophily, that is the hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. Let's take up the next type of pollination, that is entomophily, in our next video. Until then, happy learning from H2 all.